Final Fantasy XIII Part 3. Oh god, where do I begin? First, I was going to pick up Final Fantasy XIII 3.2.1 for the PlayStation 4 to justify that £500 paperweight, but it was not to be. As while it was already being put to disc and just about ready to go, the PlayStation 4 wasn't even ready, so once again for now the PlayStation loading screen will just continue to gather dust. Anyway, going into this review, I knew it was not going to be the best game, but I did know that Square did boast that they'd fixed a few things. No more hallways for us. Now it was more open-ended and free-roaming, like the original Final Fantasies, and it has customizable outfits for Lightning that are not just for show but have powers, and even if the outfit you like the most doesn't have the best stats, you can modify those stats via items and enchanting. So I thought, well, let's get into the spirit of things, dress up as Chocolina, have ourselves some fun, messing around with all of the settings and Lightning's outfits, and everything. Speaking of which, why is there no Chocolina outfit for Lightning Square? That would have been the best outfit, due to some of the others, which we'll get into later. But, oh god, I just like Chocolina for nothing. This game, it's like one step forward and two steps backwards. Everything that is done right, there is two things done wrong, which is a shame, as there was some great ideas, but they are poorly implemented. So first off, let's just review the game, and when we get to the final verdict, then we'll talk about how the good ideas went awry. First off is the combat system. It's a complete disaster. Everything seeks to add more layers of unneeded stuff to the formula. I thought it impossible for them to make the battle system any worse than it was in Final Fantasy XIII Part 1. But somehow, someway, they did it. So grab a pen and paper and get ready to take notes and try and keep up. Ready? Okay, here we go. So, you have 3 costumes. That's going to be the easy part. Now here comes the complicated part. Each of these costumes has different abilities and attacks. Each costume has a level and amount of attacks it can perform before it runs out and you have to switch to your next suit. Upon switching to your new suit, that also has abilities and attacks which you can activate and perform in quick succession. The only problem is your gauge is so small that your attack points run out every 5 seconds, causing you to press the R1 to switch your suits constantly. But the battle itself is in real time, so you have to guard and attack in real time and change your suit while the enemies are still attacking you, and switching does not make the enemies pause, so you have to pick the right time to switch or guard, parry and switch during the parry, and this is the basics. Not even getting into the whole bullet time thing, or parry, or the ability and the ability points. Whatever happened to the simple days of select attack, select target, hit the dude? Speaking of suits, as mentioned, you can switch your suits to almost anything you like, be it from battle armor to ball gown to blood dragon swimsuit, with each suit having the ability to be customized to such a degree that you can use any of your 3 favorite costumes to be the ultimate 3 outfits you will use to beat the game once enchanted and the correct weapons and equipment attached to them. So, for example, you could beat up Satan and save the world while wearing a fabulous gala dress, but again it's really only a handful of generic clothes and battle armor, and I feel an opportunity was missed here to have costumes both for a joke and a homage to other games that Square owns. 2 examples which I could bring up are something like Heartless Riku from Kingdom Hearts acknowledging a series that you made and owned, or Dragoon armor that is purple with a gold chest, referencing Spyro, but not directly calling it Spyro, just acknowledging that that franchise and video game exists. I would have loved to have seen a female me, a chick girl, and a gender-bent Heartless Riku beat up Satan, though I did see on the PlayStation Store a Tomb Raider Lara Croft costume, which was noted as a test purchase for £3, so maybe if enough people buy it, they will release other suits for her, which would be a good idea and might even improve sales, especially if they release Chocolina's outfit. But now we must move into the gameplay and the story. With its broken hybrid mess, it seems that 13.333.333 did not know what game it wanted to be and decided to rip off every other game and mash them all into some monstrous mess. So first off, we need to rip off the dark side of story, but way more complex. So again, it's pen and paper time! Ready? Okay, hope you can keep up. So, It starts after the war in 13-2. Lightning's sister died and Lightning thinks it's her fault and goes to sleep for 1,000 years, after which God talks to her and tells her he will give her sister life again if she kills Satan because, you know, God is such a nice guy like that. Only she has 13 days to do it, but not really as you start the game with 6 days. And Satan is not Satan but Chaos, and as we all know from Heath Ledger's Joker and Discourse Chaos, Chaos is neither evil nor good but chaotic neutral. So while evil controls chaos, they don't, because it fucks evil up sometimes as well. And you have to save everyone from chaos, only you can't, because you only have 12 days, and there is more missions than you can possibly do, so you have to choose who lives and who dies, and the moon is not actually a moon, but it's some kind of ark where a 169-year-old, 12-year-old boy lives, and oh god, I can't go on, this shit is too retarded even for me. I mean, just listen.
In this world, all the clocks count to 12, but that wasn't always the case. Back in the old days, all clocks went to 13. Somehow, when the chaos first flooded into the world, we lost that 13th hour. It was one of the great mysteries. No one could figure it out. But happen, it did. And the results were dramatic. Space-time has been damaged, where once each day lasted 26 hours, now only lasts 24. 2 hours of every day gone, just like that. The lost time.
Okay. Really? Well, I mean, of course. 2,000 years ago, there were 26-hour days with 13-hour cycles. And when that mischievous little Draconicus came along, he screwed everything up and got rid of that 13th hour. So that's why we only have 12-hour cycles now instead of 13. No wonder Luna and Celestia were so pissed at him and turned him to stone. Of course, it all makes sense. Also, God is a tree, and by some completely arbitrary designation, if you can complete enough missions for him and he can be asked, his holy treeness will grow and give you an extra day to try and save people. Also, he can bend time and space to his will, but he can't give you enough time to save everybody because he's a dick. But he's not really, because he wants to give Lightning her sister back. But who wrote this? This is awful and doesn't make any sense without a few flowcharts. Here, just look at Chocolina's boobs and it will all be better for you. And lastly, the gameplay. So after taking the story from Darksiders, as written by Hideo Kojima, BBFFFXIII takes its gameplay from everything else, and Frankensteins it all together. From LA Noire, it takes walking around and asking people questions to solve missions, rather than kill the thing, get me the thing, which would be fine, if not for another mechanic, which is the big one which we'll come to. From its own series, Final Fantasy, it takes its open world exploration. To a degree, it's more like 2 towns and 2 big open plains. And lastly, from Majora's Mask, it took the time mechanic, but 1,000 times worse. You see, once you go back to Earth every day at 6 AM, 1 second equals 1 minute, which is fine. I can deal with 24-minute days. However, with long side quests and the fact that you have to do main missions, but enough side missions to move the story on, don't take the long side quests, as missions that take up the most time will mean that you won't have enough time to beat as many quests as possible, meaning you won't have enough time to do as many quests as possible, meaning you won't have enough spirits to feed the tree, meaning you will never get to the 13th day. So now you can see where the timer is a complete mess and it all falls apart. It's like an advanced version of Pikmin. In Pikmin, like this game, those hours, minutes, whatever, they weren't coming back. Those 30 days in Pikmin weren't coming back, but Pikmin was a very simple game, and you could plan your routes out to save the most time. Here it's not the case, it just is a complete mess because it forces the player, if you want to get to the 13th day, to do 25 side quests and 25 sub-quests. Yes, there really is a difference. And because of the short time limits, and you have to pick the correct missions, because if you pick a long mission, that's it, you fuck up, start the game again, or load a state, it really, really does make the game bad, and this is where the whole time limit mechanic falls apart, and you shouldn't have implemented it. What you should have done is started the day and done everything you can in that particular area or city at the beginning of the day, and then when there is nothing more to do at the end of the day, you end the day, and then it just says the second day. There you go, you've done everything you can in one day, you've set up all your missions on the first day. That's the end of the day. That day's not coming back. Then in the second day, you do all of the quests, or all the quests that you think are going to be the shortest ones, or the ones that will help you the most, and it would have made the game a whole lot better, and a whole lot more ordered and structured. So, let's just move on to the graphics and the final verdict. Oh, the graphics. I can kind of see why they didn't put this on the PlayStation 4, as you might have seen how bad some of the textures and animations actually are. To put it nicely, atrocious. While the in-game cutscenes look nicely animated and at some points almost look photorealistic, actual in-game textures do not seem to have had the same treatment. Yes, all of the weapons and Lightning's outfits and accessories and all them fancy menus look beautiful, but when you're walking around the actual in-game town, it looks bad. Some of the characters look really bad. The textures look like they came from a PlayStation 2 game, all blurry and pixelated, and why does that door look like it's painted on? The characters, if it was a model from a previous Final Fantasy XIII game, like Chocolina, ha! You see? All that mention of her was to pay off here. But yes, while older models like Chocolina from 13.2 look fine because they just had to Control-C, Control-V her into the game, the new models that they actually had to make for this game look like they were made and their lips animated in Gary's mod. And it gives this very creepy vibe when you're walking round in the town square at the message board. You and the nice looking bird lady are there talking, and there are all of these ugly, creepy Gary's mod ragdolls all ambling around you, mumbling to themselves how life is shit and the end of the world is about to happen, and they're going to take you down with them. No! No, you won't! I will not let you do this to us! I will not let you turn us into Gary's mod people! Come, Chocobo girl, I shall save you, and take you back to the Ark, away from this land of Garymon! So all of these things combined makes my final verdict a poor 2 out of 5, which is a real shame as this game had a lot of good ideas, just poorly implemented. I always said that I would have loved to have seen the beta of Luigi's Mansion actually released. You know, the one that had the 24-hour countdown clock where you had to save Mario in one night that was shown off in the beta of the beta? It seemed to work, so having a real-time countdown clock here is a good idea. Unfortunately, due to how you have to do a shit ton of side missions and you don't have enough time and how the missions are actually structured, it just makes it crap and you could have implemented it so much better. The story is really good and original. For once, it's not you trying to save the world. The world is doomed. There is nothing you can do to stop it. It's fucked. Deal with it. You're just trying to save who you can and get the hell out of there. It makes for a nice change from, you will be the one destined to save the world. But once again, it's poorly implemented, as except for the kooky personality of Chocolina, imported from the last game, all of the other NPCs feel token, a bunch of mindless ones and zeros that I could not care less for, when a simple personality and an even clothing could have made me think, you're a dick, but I like what you're wearing, and you might sell me an outfit like that, so I'll save you. It would give me more motivation to pick who lives and who dies, but it was never to be. And lastly, lightning suits. Again, I love the idea that there is no ultimate suit of doom you will be forced into. It's nice to see that every costume is not just cosmetic, and you can pour your points into the one you deem most badass, so you could be wearing an overpowered chicken suit to beat up Satan, opposed to your standard nether-forged demon armor of Atronach. But again, all of the outfits, bar a select few, are exactly what I said, in which they are all demonic armors forged in the fires of hell by Atronach, that cover you head to toe in chainmail, scale mail, everything else, when there should be more of the light-hearted, gala dress, joke-like outfits, of which there's only 3 right now. However, as we did mention, there is like the Tomb Raider thing, which is currently a test thing for £3, and I think £3 is a reasonable price. So if you just added a few extra downloadable costumes for Lightning, which aren't just, you know, overpowered nether things like Chocolina's suit, then it would work. It'd be a lot better game. So let's move on to my final statement, and we'll wrap this all up. So on that note, I feel like this is a special game, and I feel that 2 scores have to be given to this game. The first being a hypothetical 4 out of 5 for effort and coming up with some clever, unique ideas, allowing you to have any armour as the best armour, making it so you don't have to save the world. It's Scrooge, you just have to choose who lives and who dies, and so on. I would rather have a game that has failed for trying to put some heart and soul into their game and trying to be creative rather than another bleep bloop soulless Call of Duty shooter that has had no thought or heart put into it at all. It's just been shout out by Microsoft or Sony to say, hey look, here's another fucking shooter, money, money, money. So 4 out of 5 for effort, good job guys. But unfortunately everything was poorly implemented, so I am actually going to have to give you a 2 out of 5 for your final product. But think not too harshly on Final Fantasy XIII-3, as while it aimed for the moon and mist, if you're willing to give it a chance and overlook a few dodgy things that might have been patched by the time this review goes up, you'll see that it still managed to land among the stars, even if it was a crash landing. Now, if you excuse me, it's taken 24 hours to put this review together, so I've only got 2 hours left in today to upload it. Choco-Bocolina!